All right, here we go. We've got another YouTube chat. We haven't done this in a while, and it's just myself, guys. Georgie is probably running right now. She's hard in training. And we've got a special guest, Damien Henning,
Hennigan.
Hennigan. Sorry, mate.
Yeah,
Sorry, mate. Guys, Damien and I pretty much met maybe only a month ago at the gym on the Sunshine Coast. And sometimes, actually, I'll tell you something, Damo. If I'm very restricted at the gym and I see you, I get worried.
because I'm going to talk the hind legs off you.
No, because I'm like, oh fuck, we're gonna we're gonna go on a tangent here, and it's gonna be half an hour later, and I'm gonna be like, oh shit, I'm late for my meetings, I'm late for this, I'm late for that.
Yeah.
It's just the way like we've kind of connected, I guess. Damo,
Giddy up.
welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here, mate.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously not Australian, man.
Uh,
Where are you from?
I'm from the west of Ireland, originally from Roscommon. I've lived over in Australia 14 years now. Recently got my citizenship, so I'm a true blue Aussie now, mate.
True blue. Oh, please don't do that again. That was so not Aussie. But
Giddy
mate,
up.
congratulations for that.
Perfect.
Yeah. So 14 years, and it's taken 14 years to get, or what's the process?
For all becoming a citizen.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, here, listen. There's a couple of ways of looking at this, and I know that members of my own family think I was dragging my feet when it came to getting my citizenship. Listen, things don't happen. When you come over to Australia and if you plan to live here long term, they aren't meeting you, they aren't greeting you at the airport handing out like, passports. Here you go, welcome, welcome. There's a process to go through. And I always like, try and explain this to anyone that would be, immigrating over here is like, it's the exact same process if it was an Australian immigrating to Ireland. Ireland isn't going to just let anyone in and just be like, all right, here you go, here you go. Although it
Sure,
does
yeah.
kind of seem in the current climate, it does kind of seem like that is happening a bit. But let's not go down that rabbit hole straight off the
Yeah,
bat.
yeah.
But no, listen. So just to make the process really brief, I came over. I got sponsored in a gym. My
Yep.
qualifications that I got sponsored under were my neuromuscular therapy qualifications. So, like a myotherapist, that's what I got qualified
Right.
in before I left Ireland. Originally, civil engineering. So, learned how to,
Right.
quantity survey and all that sort of crack. And then I said, "Fuck that! Let's quantity survey people's bodies." Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so got sponsored as that. Then went from that to de facto relationships visa. Then got permanent residency through that. And I've only recently come back to Australia because I went home once COVID ended to be with family for a while. And as soon
Yeah.
as I got back, because I had applied for my citizenship before I left, as soon as I landed back, bang, processing started. Within 2 months of getting back here, I had my citizenship ceremony done, and I've actually just applied for
Fantastic.
my passport there. Was it early this week or last week? I think it was last week. So yeah, so
Awesome,
yeah,
mate.
it's taken a
Congratulations.
while, but it wasn't
Yeah.
going to happen. It wasn't going to happen any faster because things like you do it slowly yourself anyway. Because there's a
Sure.
lot of
Yeah.
paperwork and whatnot, and you want to make sure you've crossed all the T's and dotted all the I's. Could I have got it faster? Probably. Did I need to get it any faster? No. Was there stress involved in getting my permanent resident? Of course there was. You talk to anyone, if you really want something, it's a test. Like I have a mate that just got into the fire brigade down in Melbourne. He had to apply 3 times. And it's
Yeah.
all these little tests that either the system puts on you, but also the universe puts on you to say, right, well, do you want this bad enough? Because there was
Yeah.
moments for myself where I was like, this isn't working. This is just too much stress. And I've plotted out all the scenarios of what would have to do if I had to move back to Ireland. And I came to terms with leaving, but hey, lo and behold, I
You're
got where I
back.
wanted to be, and
Yeah.
I got through. I got through the wave, or got over the wave, whatever
Yeah.
you want to call it.
Got through the wave. And this is something that we want to talk about later, but also love what you said about the universe testing you as well. And we look, we'll get into that as well.
Yeah.
But so you've been a coach, you've been in the health and fitness industry for quite some time, but you were an engineer. So, you know, take me through like what were you doing when you first left school, and how did you get to where you are right now?
Okay. So it'd probably be best to just sort of take it back a little bit further than school. So I always
Oh
grew up
yeah.
quite athletic. You know, doing in Ireland the community games, which would be our version
Yep.
of the Olympics. You know, but in the community.
Hmm.
Then playing Gaelic football. You know,
Right.
on my bicycle, cycling to football training all of the time. Played football since, geez, I can't even remember when I started playing football, but I know I've always played it. And then you go to school, it's the same. There's always athletics and football at school, and the same when you go to secondary school. So then, and I grew up on a farm, so you're out, you're helping on the farm the whole time, like cutting the hay, digging spuds. Not to sound so fucking stereotypical, but yes, spuds were
Buds.
a main job to be done on the farm every year. Sowing the spuds, prepping the land, sowing the spuds, and making sure the spuds didn't get blighted, and then digging the spuds at the end of the summer. Man, hectic.
Spuds are potatoes, right? Spuds
Correct and
are
right.
potatoes.
Yeah,
I just
yeah,
wanted
yeah,
to
100%.
clarify.
The Irish staple. The
The
Irish
Irish
staple.
staple, yeah.
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 So yeah, from there, I was always into my health and fitness. Always very athletic. Oh no, my screen is going changing color. Always very athletic. So when when you're going through secondary school, you're kind of being forced into decide what you need to become for the rest of your life. Now,
Very so very similar to Australia, by the way. We are very forced and right nor wrong, but very forced. Continue, sorry.
yeah, no, that's the way it was for us all. I never forget me and my mates like we're scratching our heads, going,
Oh,
I don't know the fuck. I don't know the fuck what I want to be here, but
mate.
you kind of get pigeonholed,
Yep.
where like it's are you going to go into a trade, carpenter, plumber, whatever? Are you going to go to a civil servant, join the army, be a cop, or are you going to be like an engineer, lawyer, doctor? You know, it's one of those three categories. And for fear you'd be like an entrepreneur, or you'd go on the dole, or you'd go traveling or anything like that. No, Jesus Christ, you got to get a steady job. And so for myself, it was kind of like a few of my mates were making the edge towards engineering. Of course, family as well were like, oh, you be an engineer, you be an engineer. So I ended
Yeah.
up getting into college for civil engineering. Um, and I'd done 2 years of it, but I dropped out. I dropped out.
Okay.
It wasn't for me. So I didn't qualify as an engineer, but where I went from that was I moved to Dublin, and then I started working as a IT technician. Okay, so I was back at a desk. So for me, what it was about the engineering and in college was like I'm stuck at a desk the whole time in front of drawings. Now I was good at the drawings, I was good at the practical side, I was good at setting up the tools and going out and doing the land survey, and I actually really enjoyed that part of it. But it's the sitting down and it's
That
the
you couldn't. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
scribbling in front of a laptop, and plus, I never had access to a computer until I went to college. Yeah.
Right.
So
Yep.
we did have computers in my secondary school, and we had an old yoke at home that you had to plug into the wall and was dial up, which are I had no real idea how to use a computer properly until I was put into secondary
Yeah.
school, and then you're thrown in front of a computer. Sorry, in college, and you're like, right, you've got to learn
Oh, college,
AutoCAD.
yeah.
So talk about fucking being
And
thrown into the deep end. Like you're learning a computer program that's like it still blows my mind to this day how lads work it. But once you understand it, you get it. But I had to figure out how to use a computer, and at the
yeah.
same time learn AutoCAD. And if I don't know if you know what AutoCAD is, it's the drawing program that you would draft up.
Yeah.
like fucking for drawings for a building or a road or a site.
Yeah,
It was hectic. So that was that,
that would have been
increased
full on. Yeah,
it
that would have been full
increased
on for you.
yeah, it increased my disdain for laptop computer lifestyle. I was like, this shit isn't for me. Isn't for me.
Yeah, yeah,
But as I said, I ended up working as an IT technician. So I did learn a few things about a computer, and it was kind of like uh, almost like an internship at this company in Dublin, where this guy just needed help for a summer,
yep,
with just desktop support. And what got me across the line and what kept me in that business was the fact that I was just so energetic. My phone would ring in the office. It was a 5-story building. My phone would ring before the phone was put down. I was beside you. I would leg it down, up and down the stairs. Listen, James, I hadn't a fucking clue what I was doing really. So I'd get down, I'd look at your computer. Right, let me have a look here. Yeah, let's restart. If restart didn't fix it, fuck, I was fucked. So a lot of the time, Jamesy, what I would do is I would screenshot, like there'd be a warning that would come up on the screen or whatever. I'd screenshot it and email it back. So I'm like, okay, I'll be back to you in a few minutes. I just want to run up to the office. I just got to check a few things, because make sure it's the server, or if it's not the
yeah,
server. I don't know what I'm saying. Anyway,
yeah.
I'd
No
go back
idea.
upstairs
Yeah,
and I'd have the screenshot. I would Google what the problem was. I would find the fix and I'd land back to you. Sometimes I could fix it from my office. Sometimes I would have to go back down to where you are. I ended up in that job for 2.5 years because of that.
wow, wow. That's interesting, man. And Google saved your life, or you were just kind of you were figuring out the problems yourselves on the go.
That's right.
Yeah, that's crazy. And
And
then 2.5 years. How old were you then?
so I would have finished school 18, 19, 20. That would have been, I celebrated my 21st in college and then didn't finish college. So 23, 24
Yeah,
that's what the age I was when I was in that IT company.
yeah. And then what happened next?
From there, while I was in that IT business, I started studying the neuromuscular therapy part time.
Yeah,
I remember being on a J1 visa while I was in college, and I remember just being all like going to America and going to a gym and seeing all the fitness stuff and just having an interest in it, but I didn't know what about it I liked. So it just so happened that this course came up for neuromuscular therapy, and I was like, okay, that sounds interesting, and I was interested in the body. And man, I took into this course, and it was a part-time like self-study course. It wasn't
yeah,
online. It was all like you had to rock up, you got the material on 2 or 3 days of the week, and then you brought it home and you studied it. I smashed that course.
yeah.
Yeah, it was that was two and a was that 2 and no, that was 3 years. That course was 3 years to complete, and I was absolutely brilliant. I absolutely loved it.
Mm.
And then from there, that piggybacked on to, or that carried over into me becoming an personal trainer, because it was
Yep.
it was an add-on course, and it kind of what had done it to your personal training course, it had cut it in half because you had all the anatomy and physiology understood. Now it was like, okay, just apply this to movement. So I don't know if you remember the chap from, in CrossFit, Kelly Starrett.
I've heard of the name. Yeah, that was Kelly Starrett. What, 10 years ago or so, or 20 years ago?
Yeah, a while ago. So he would have bubbled up on the CrossFit circuit maybe in 2010, 11 and 12.
Yeah,
And
okay.
he wrote the book, The Supple Leopard. So he was the mobility guy for CrossFit. He was the guy that introduced everyone to the lacrosse balls and using bands and,
Right.
tissue release and all this sort of crack. So yeah, he became my god. So everything that he
Right.
was doing, I was replicating for my clients. So I went from, doing kind of manual hand therapy to, okay, I'm actually going to teach you how to move and show you how to do this manual therapy on yourself. So that's where it began for me, the whole fitness thing. And at this stage,
Gosh,
I had
yeah.
quit that job in the IT. Once I'd completed all the study, quit the job in the IT, and I got a job in a gym. My first job in the gym, which was up in Dublin.
In Dublin? In Dublin?
Yes. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And then how did you get to Australia, and why?
yeah. Okay.
Why did you come here?
Well, Ireland hit a recession in 2007 and
Eight,
8. The the
7 and 8, yeah.
yeah, the fucking pot, the bottom just fell out of Ireland. And I'll never forget, I had a conversation with my dad, and he was like, "Do you know what? If you don't fuck off out of here, you're going to get stuck." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Shit's going tits up here. You
He said
better,
that. No.
yeah, you better head off somewhere." And I was like, "Oh fuck, okay." So I didn't have money. I didn't have money because I was living in Dublin at the time, and it was fucking hard. It was hard back then. It's even harder now. So you're spending a
So
lot of
sorry, how old were you in 2007 and 2008? Like you were 25?
25, 26. Yeah.
Yeah.
It would have been, yeah, it would have been that age. Yeah, 25, 26. So yeah, it was like, it was time to make a move. Time to make a move. So I actually didn't have enough money to fly to Oz straight away. So I worked on cruise ships. I got a job on cruise
Okay.
ships.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
As a
was
PT?
correct, as a PT.
Yeah.
Well, they sign you up as a PT, but little do you realize that what you're getting yourself into, you're actually a salesman.
Yeah, I bet you are. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That makes sense. Yeah.
100%. So, like, I got a job for pretty much 9 months on cruise ships, which was amazing, which was like all this traveling around the South America and through Panama Canal and up to Alaska. It was fucking awesome. And
Yeah. Would
it
have
was
been
a
amazing.
yeah, it was a party lifestyle. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So in that period, then I made enough money, and literally, I didn't unpack my bags when I got off the cruise ships. I had, as soon as I landed back to Ireland, I booked my ticket for Australia. 2 weeks later, I
Wow.
was gone to Australia.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. First city was Melbourne. Did you go straight to Melbourne?
Straight to Melbourne. I had a
Yeah.
friend that lived in Melbourne, and I moved into his house. And because I'd just worked 9 months straight on the cruise ships, I pretty much slept for 2 months solid in his house.
Yeah.
Didn't do any hooring or touring. I wasn't able to, James. I wasn't able to. I was fucked.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, because the cruise ships just took it out of you. It's partying, working, partying, working, partying, working. So that first two
Yeah.
months was just me recovering. And I found a wee little gym, and I started training there. And I started rebuilding my body. That first
Awesome.
year actually in Melbourne was, rather than like going being the tourist, because I'd been on the ships, I felt like I didn't need to do any touring. That first year in Melbourne was me just rebuilding who I was as a man again.
Yeah.
It's just like, because I was
Yeah, yeah.
only a shell of a young fellow when I landed in Melbourne first.
Yeah. So, all right. So you get to Melbourne. You had a couple of months to rebuild. Um, um, let's kind of go towards what you're doing now, or like, and just quickly take me through. You own a CrossFit gym in Melbourne. Take me through like Melbourne, and then how and why, may I ask, you're on the Sunshine Coast now doing what you're doing.
Okay, perfect. I'll accelerate the story. So that gym I started training in, started working there, set up boot camps. Those boot camps turned into CrossFit because I had learned about CrossFit while I was on the cruise ships. And actually, before I got to the cruise ships, one of the trainers that I worked with, he showed me the CrossFit.com website. So I was getting workouts of it. So I knew of it. But on the ships, I learned a lot more about it. So ended up setting up a little CrossFit area in that gym I was working in, outgrew it, got my first warehouse, outgrew that in 6 months,
Wow.
got an even bigger warehouse, and then that's where we remained until COVID. And during COVID, I had this notion of trying to run the gym remotely.
Mm.
But yeah, because in 2018 I went to Bali, met a load of people working remotely. I was like, that's the fucking life. Like, what the fuck,
Yeah.
Jesus? I
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. So my intention was to try and do that with the gym. So in 2020, I was like, right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to Bali for 2 to 3 months and see how I run the gym from there. And if ever anything went tits up, I'm only in Bali, I can jump back. However, the world had other ideas. The world threw COVID at us, and that ruined those plans. Now, in that period, my gym had to shut down. So for me, this is when I discovered my true purpose. Because I was confronted with the fact that my livelihood has now been taken away from me. And I have no idea. I've no idea when it's going to come back, if it's going to come back. what's going to happen. So I was left with this kind of like, shit. Do I have to go back to IT? Do I have to get on the tools? Do I have to learn a new trade? What the fuck do I do? And there was a couple of fucking very drunken nights and a lot of fucking soul searching. And I was like, I kept coming back to the fact that I've just spent the last 20 years investing in this industry.
Yeah.
I can make this work.
Yeah.
So that's when I said, right, I had already this notion of trying to run the gym remotely. Let's try this online thing.
Yep.
Let's fucking see what the fuck I can do with it. So I started just doing stuff online, promoting programs, whatever. Wasn't making any money from it because I didn't know how to monetize it.
Yeah.
So I decided to get a mentor to help me make that transition. Best idea I ever made when it came to transitioning online, because they set the ball rolling immediately. That first program I launched, which was the Jacked and Juicy program, and I know there'll be a few people
Jacked and Juicy.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And I still
have it. Do you still have the Jacked and Juicy?
It's
I
a
might
part
have to
of,
jump on it.
yeah, it's part of my Alpha Clan. It's the training
Cool.
part of my Alpha Clan, so it's a bit of fun. So that there's a bit of a nod to that original program. But the guys are like, okay, charge this amount, run it for 8 weeks, announce it on your social media, and I did that. And I think I charged $750. Was it maybe no? It's probably, I think it was $450 for an 8-week program, and I got 10 people. Bang!
Wow.
At $4,500. In 3 days, I'm like, what the fuck? So that was my first initial online experience, and I'm like, okay, there's something in this, and it started to grow. It started to get bigger. I started to get up more clients. I started to develop it even better, and for a long time, I was working with everyone. I was working with men and I was working with women, and what I started to really discover is, number one, online coaching is very different to in-person coaching.
Yeah. It has to be as well. Yeah.
Well, I came from the CrossFit world. You have people come into your gym. You're teaching them how to squat. You're teaching them how to snatch. You're teaching them how to muscle up. There is no room to teach them about nutrition or sleep or anything like that. You can mention it, but it's all movement.
Movement, yeah.
Now online, if you got a client and you're teaching them how to squat, snatch, or muscle up, that's very, very difficult. Very difficult. So what can you teach them? Nutrition, sleep, mindset, all of the stuff you couldn't teach on the gym floor.
On the gym floor, yeah.
Jamesy, the funny thing I started to discover is I got better results from the people in my online course than I was getting with the people in my gym.
Wow, interesting. And what do you put that down to?
I always refer to this story. There was one client in particular. He was there with me 5-6 years. 5-6 years in the gym. The same question always bubbled up. Demo, what do I do to get rid of this? And he'd slap his belly. And my response was always, not fucking more CrossFit anyway. He used to be at the gym 3, 4, 5 times a week.
Yeah.
So the reason I think the food and the mindset and the sleep gets the better results is because people think they're not as valuable to focus on. People put a huge amount of weight on going to the gym or doing the activity. Yeah. You know, oh, I didn't get to the gym this week. Oh, I fucked up. No, you haven't. Because there's 168 hours in the week. If you're going to the gym 4 times a week, that's 164 hours you're not in the gym. What are you doing in those 164 hours?
In those, yeah.
So
most important.
Yeah, so it blew that's what blew my mind. I was like, in just an 8-week period, I was having these massive transformations with people, massive, and including the transformation in other people, me as well. Because I didn't have to be up at like fucking 5 a.m. every morning running a gym and then not coming home from the gym until 9 p.m. at night and like getting fuck all sleep and being exhausted all the time. For once in my life, because of COVID, I actually felt rested. I was like,
Yeah.
I can get up in the morning, I can go for my trot, I can do a bit of content, and then I can start my day's work. I was
Yeah.
like, what have I been doing? I felt like, do you know what I felt like, James? I felt like a fucking charlatan. I felt like I've been running this fucking gym for the last 10 years and I've been fucking pulling the wool over people's eyes. I've been selling them snake
Yeah.
oil. You know, I've wrote articles about this because I believe that now what I'm doing is way more powerful. But it's that kick in the dick that I got at the moment. It's like, but I was not helping people in the right way.
Yeah. So that's so powerful, mate. So right here and now, um, what are you doing online? What are you doing with your clients precisely? Um, and what's your day-to-day like now?
Yeah, I'm just like I have it right here because I have a course platform that I run my clients through. So where I am right now with my online business is I cater for men, men's health and wellness. I'm a men's health and wellness coach. The question comes up, why don't you work with women? And I'll answer that now, and I'll answer it as straightforward as possible. I'm not a woman. I don't, as much as I'd love to understand the workings of a woman, I don't. I am 100% qualified as a fucking man. You know?
Yeah, so
So
true.
so when it comes to my coaching, and this is what I've discovered, is when I did have men and women, I would have to cater for them very differently.
Yeah,
And what it started turning into is two separate jobs. So I was like, fuck, like I'm not giving my best here. So I was like, right. And, working with mentors, they're always telling you, find your niche, work with your clients. Who is it? The more narrow you go, the better. Well, I was like, fuck this. Like, why don't I just go all in and see what happens? And since I have made that transition, my coaching has gone to a new level. My
right.
results that I'm getting with the guys has gone to a whole new level. Why? Because they've got me 100% in man coaching mode all of the time.
Yep, yep.
Okay. So that is why I work with men. There is still several women that reach out every so often, and I'm like, I don't work with females. However, I know plenty of coaches that solely work with females. So let me direct you to them because there is that. There's loads of female only coaches, and it's always considered kind of a normal thing. And it's funny, it's like you become a male only coach. It's like, why are you doing that? Why not? What about the girls? What about the girls? I'm like, well, this is why I'm not qualified as a woman. I can't help you. Not in the
I
best.
I'll just like I'm assuming, mate, and correct me if I'm wrong. You could like I'll even say it, you could be even making, you know, more money. You could have more clients if you weren't just the male coach. But you're pretty much saying you're a better coach, you're a better person due to this, or due to just coaching men. You're a better coach. You've got the value of being a better coach. Um, and that's why you've gone down this route of just men. Is that correct?
Nail on head, Jamesy. Nail on head.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fascinating because I'm doing a very similar job to you, online coaching, right? Very funny me saying that though. Very similar job, but very different as well. Very different. So I always think about these things as well. And I always get to a point where I'm like, sorry, I don't always get to a point, but I always question myself. How can I become a better coach, or am I giving my fleets the value that they deserve and the value that they pay for? I always question that, right? And um, I think there's a lot of online coaches out there that probably don't ask that question to themselves as much as they should because it's just money, 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 or it's just more is better. Um, but yeah, it's just very interesting. And I hold that very highly of, or sorry, I really appreciate that you're like that. So going back to what you do with men, I'm assuming, mate, not just writing up workouts for them to do and and say, see you later, what do you actually do for them?
So I feel what I've created currently is something I wish I would have had when I was trying to decide what I wanted to become back in school. Because back then it was all like, what do you want to do? Without any knowledge or evidence or any kind of self discovery or anything like that. It's just you got to decide, you got to make up your mind. But from working with all of my mentors, all the different ones in the past, and I've had some great ones, I've taken bits and pieces from them all. But the major things that have helped me the most in my journey has always been the mindset work stuff.
Yeah.
Always. So what I deliver now to my guys at the initial phase of the program is the Alpha Academy. And I'm sorry for looking away, but I have it open up here.
No. Yeah.
So I have 4 basic steps that they would go through as the initiation or the initiation of the program, just to kind of get the ball rolling for them. Step 1 is Alpha Mind, I like to call it. And that's just all mindset work. And it's a funny thing. The guys that embrace the work I give them are always the ones that get the best results.
Yeah.
Always. There's always guys out there that, because with the Alpha Mind stuff, I'm going to ask you to write your intentions every morning. I'm going to ask you to set your goals for the month. I'm going to ask you to write down each night what went well. That's my secret way of asking them to do gratitude. Because if they hear gratitude, they're like, "That's fucking hippie shit.
Like,
fuck that shit." Yeah. And I'm gonna ask you, if you are going through a sticky spot in your life, to write down all of the stuff that's going on, and then I'm gonna ask you to rewrite it without the negative language in it. So I'm gonna get you to do a lot of soul searching and a lot of deep dive. Yes, and I can't force anyone to do anything that they don't feel comfortable with doing. And a lot of guys will be like, fuck that shit. Why the fuck would I? But it is what it is. The beautiful thing that happens in my program is when I get the group of lads together on our group calls, the boys that have done the work are always the ones that are they're on the ball, they're making progress. And then slowly, the guys that were resistant at the start, 6 or 8 weeks in, they're like, what diary should I get again, Damien? And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, just this one on Amazon. Fucking get that one. It's nice and simple. It doesn't need to be fancy. Just get that one. How do you want me to fill it out again? Do this in the morning, do this in the evening. Just start with that. They're like, all right. 2, 3 weeks later, all of a sudden they're coming back to me. They're losing their weight. They're feeling better. The thing, a lot of lads come into the program, I used to be a grumpy cunt. I'm a lot less of a grumpy cunt now. Yeah. So a lot of that, like I'm kind of going down a rabbit hole there, but a lot of the work I do is mindset, just shifting the way you're thinking about who you are and what you are at the moment, and then building from there. That's the foundation. Then it's sleep, then it's food, then it's training.
Yeah. Yes. I love that, man. I love that. And what I'm about to say is something that actually my partner Georgie and I spoke about yesterday, right? And it's something that I've learnt for myself, but also I can tell with my athletes, I can tell with most people out there that there's a difference, and people don't know this. I didn't know this. I sometimes probably, I still probably don't know this. There's a difference between being honest with yourself and being fucking soul deep honest with yourself. And the people, and I'm not, it's not a criticism towards anyone here, any individual or people in general, because, hey, I'm the first to say that I'm like this sometimes. But the people that can be like truthfully 150% honest with yourself are the ones that are going to get results. And That's fucking tough to do. That's really tough to do. And mate, without going into too much detail, I've had to do that with my journey as a athlete, my journey as a coach myself, even more importantly, my journey as a human being and being a man, you know. And I think that's the most powerful thing is to, as a coach, right? And as we said, we're doing the same thing, but different as well. As a coach, I think the most powerful thing is to demonstrate and be the leader of being totally honest with yourself, and people will follow, right? But what's your view on that? Like, like what's your, do you understand? Do you agree with what I just said?
100%. 100%. I have a little bit of a story on that, my own kind of journey that has changed my life. So what you're saying there is, as we grow up, we gather a certain persona. Maybe it's a protective persona as a man. We put on the tough outer layer, and we want the world to view us in a certain way because maybe we feel like we're not enough. Maybe we feel like we don't fit in. Maybe we're afraid of rejection. So as men, they're like, oh yeah, fucking, I'm sound. Everything's good. Everything's great. The lads are drinking. I'm going to drink. The lads are taking drugs. I'm going to take drugs. And that's what I slipped into. That was my own personal story. Is like I had this, fun loving, always out partying, the guy that was the life and soul of it all. And I understand why I was doing that now. But I didn't for a long time. I actually identified with that person. I was like, that's me. That's me. And then I moved to Australia. And of course, you meet Australian people and you're Irish, and then they feed into your narrative. Oh, you're Irish. You're always drunk. Of course I am.
Yeah.
Of course I am. Yeah. And it's just, there's no part of you that thinks that's false. Every bit of you thinks that's correct. Every bit of you.
Yep.
But until there's no one around, until you're sitting on the couch on your own after a big session for 2 or 3 days, and the slightest thing comes on the telly, not even that sad, but you bawl your eyes out. You cry and you don't know why you're sad. And you don't know what the fuck. So this resistance keeps coming up. This devil keeps trying to show his head. But I was always in this thing. I was like, I can keep him pushed away as long as I'm partying and having the crack. I'm good. So for me, what happened? The biggest change was going through a breakup. Number one, that was the catalyst, and going to a counselor for that. So we started couples counseling. The couples counseling didn't fix the relationship, but it started the change in me because it opened up my childhood and what had happened at home. And briefly, parents split up. As a young fella, you're trying to keep everyone together. From 12 years old, seeing them go apart. Now, what I discovered was I done my best to keep my parents together, but they still went away. So I understood that if I don't show up in a certain way in the world to get people to like me, they'll leave me. So that developed into, you start drinking and people gravitate to you and you have fun with them. Oh, now if I drink more, that'll mean more people will stay around me. Yeah. So this became my identity. It's like I require people's love. I require their validation. I need them to love me, and I will do whatever it takes for them to love me. That was my thing. So that's it. The catalyst for change was understanding that, where that came from. Several years later, still doing the work and whatnot, I was back in Ireland. I went to this event called, what was it? The Soul Coach, Jerry Hussey. He's Ireland's answer to Tony Robbins. Full room of people. Everyone's there. Everyone's like in that room because they're looking for a transformation. I went along because I got free tickets. I didn't really know what the fuck to expect, but it was life changing. And I'll explain this story now. So big room, 400 people in it. I'm just one in a crowd. Jerry's great at getting you out of your comfort zone. So immediately he's asking you to chat to the person to your right, chat to the person to your left, chat to the person in front of you. Like you're everyone's about it. There's an energy in the room. So he keeps talking during his lecture or during his seminar about he can't give you the answer. The answer is with you all the time. The person that knows you the best is you. He kept
Yep.
repeating that. He said, like, you're all here for a transformation. He said, I guarantee you, you're going to leave with something. But the answer isn't going to come from me. It's going to come from you.
Yep.
Okay. So he takes us halfway through it to through a meditation. And I'm fully in the meditation, like I'm feel completely relaxed. My head's down, my eyes are closed, and then he just changes the meditation halfway through to now you're in the room completely on your own. And I was like, my eyes were still closed, but I felt completely on my own. I felt like I was an island. He said, now that you're on your own, you notice that the door is opening behind you at the back of the room, and someone's walked in. Now, you don't know who it is, and you're not going to turn around and look at them, but you're familiar with this person. So as they walk closer to you from behind you up the room, the closer they become to you, the more you feel you know them. Now they're at your right shoulder, and they're putting their hand on your right shoulder. And as they do, you feel a warm rush through your body. It's a warm rush that makes you feel familiar, super familiar with this person. And I'm like, I'm in this. I'm like, yeah, there's a hand on my shoulder. I'm about it. So he said, this person is going to come around in front of you. And when you open your eyes, you're going to see who it is. And I'm in my mind, I'm like, I know who it is. I know already who it is. So he counts you down. And when I opened my eyes, he said, that's your 12-year-old self. And sure enough, 12-year-old Damien was standing in front of me. Now, my eyes were still closed at this stage because of the way the meditation had operated, but 12-year-old Damien was in front of me. He said, now, in 5 seconds, you're going to hear exactly what you need to hear. So make sure you listen carefully. In 4 seconds, in 3 seconds. And I'm thinking in my mind, I'm like, am I going to have to talk to myself? Am I going to have to say this out loud? He said, be ready to listen in 3, in 2. When he said 1, it came out of me without any hesitation, and I couldn't fucking believe it. When he said 1, I said, I'm proud of you.
Wow. Wow.
What can I say after that? Only it was a very emotional experience after that. Even me talking about it now, I can feel that. But that was the moment everything changed. In that moment, everything changed in my life. Because what I discovered, and it took a day or two to allow that to sink in, but what I realized was I don't need anyone's validation. I don't need anyone to love me. I don't need my dad to tell me he's proud of me. I don't need my mum to say it to me. I don't need a partner to say it to me. I don't need it from friends. So from that point on, I just became solely about looking after myself. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You became your true self, as corny as that sounds, but you became your true self because you were proud of yourself.
Yeah.
Mate, that I just got goosebumps actually. That was a great story. And like it's amazing. It's amazing to chat to someone like yourself, who I'll be honest, has been on a very similar journey to what I've been on. Um, and to understand that, yeah, to understand at the end of the day, um, if you really want to be the best person, the best man that you can be, the only thing that matters is how you view yourself. Nothing else matters, man. Like when you think about it, like nothing else matters is like even to the point where like it doesn't matter what your loved ones think. Does, but it doesn't. because at the end of the day, if you love yourself and you're proud of yourself as your 12-year-old self told you that day, then you're going to be the best man that that you can be, and the best coach that you can be, the best friend, the best son, the best brother, etc., etc. Yeah, man, that was powerful. Um, I was gonna like what you know. Oh, we'll try and like I guess like finish off with your your mate. You don't look a day older than 30,
Mm.
but
I'm 40.
you're 40 years of old. And I'll be honest, you actually don't. You feel like we're the same age, right? Um, but if you could ask, if you were, I don't know the age, if you're fucking 16 again, 15, 16, maybe 17, 18 when you're out of school. And if you could ask yourself, or sorry, if you could tell yourself and give yourself as an 18-year-old some advice or something, what would you tell it? What would you tell yourself as an 18-year-old?
That's a great question.
Because I'll just quickly say I've gone through a similar journey in my 20s, trying to find what I want to do or find myself. And you know um this and that. I don't regret anything that I've done or not done, because if it wasn't for that stuff, or I wouldn't I wouldn't be here today, maybe. Um, but I think if I had to tell myself something that's 18 years of age, it would be as simple as just back yourself, like back yourself with whatever you want to do, and nothing else matters. Just whatever you want to do, and just fucking back yourself. Um, do you have anything? I put you on the spot, but do you have anything?
Yeah, I do. I do. Like yourself there, Jamesy, I don't regret anything that's happened in my life. All the ups and downs, I think, have made me who I am today. And I value all of those experiences in whatever way they have happened. But I would say something to my younger self. I'll be like, make your decision faster.
Make your decision faster.
Yeah. Because I know I have had ideas about things. Should I do this? Shouldn't I do this? Procrastinated on stuff, relationships, work, and I've just sat and waited and waited. Like, make your decision faster, because whether you're right or wrong in your decision, you're going to learn from it, right? You're going to understand quite quickly if you've made the right decision or if you've made the
Yeah,
wrong decision. Don't fucking sit. And that's something that's advice I need to constantly remind myself of, is don't fucking wait on this stuff. Make the
that's
decision.
it.
Just make the fucking decision. You're either in, you're
That's
out. You're up, you're down. You're left or right. Fucking do it. But yeah,
it.
that would be my advice for my younger self. Just fucking make the decision.
That's a great one, because I'm sorry, when you just said that, I'm like, wow, the amount of times, and not a bad thing, because I had to go through it, right? The amount of times that I was just sitting in my life. Let's just say it that way. I was just sitting. I was just pondering about, oh, should I do this? Should I do that? Should I um do this? Should I do that? Like rather than just going, fuck it, let's go. And as you said, might be the wrong decision. But you know what? You find out sooner. I
Exactly.
love that. I really love that. I really love that, mate. Um, Damo, mate, when we chat, I just get a buzz, man. I really do. Um, And I do love it when I rock up to the gym or you come into the gym because I'm just like, fuck yeah, like there's a bit of energy here now. There's a bit of energy, a bit of giddy up, as you say. Um, but mate, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Love love chatting with you, mate. Where can people find you? Um, on socials or even do you have a website as well?
I actually don't have a website, but just on Instagram. Instagram is the main social media platform I use, and it's at Hennigan Coaching. Yeah, no,
Hennigan Coaching.
yeah. If you want to find me, that's the place I'm at, and that's the handiest place to reach out to me. Yeah,
Awesome, brother. Mate, great to chat. And I think there'll be another one or two.
hopefully.
And really appreciate your words, man. And we'll
Giddy
talk
up.
soon. Giddy up. Giddy up.